Welcome to the series of lecture on finite element analysis. In this part, we are going to see the temperature effect in a CST element. Suppose a member is subjected to both structural load as well as the thermal load, then how to handle that type of problem we are going to see in this part. That is, we are going to continue the two-dimensional vector variable problem in this part also. Now we are going to see how to consider the temperature effect when we solve a two-dimensional vector variable problem. In earlier part of lectures, we have discussed temperature effect in a one-dimensional bar element. We will recollect the important points from that lecture, then we will continue to the two-dimensional CST element. Let us assume that this is the uniform cross-sectional bar which is fixed at both ends. If the temperature of this bar is increased due to the service condition, then because of the increase in temperature, the material of the bar will tend to expand, but both ends are fixed. The expansion of this bar due to the temperature change is constrained by these fixed ends. If any displacement is constrained for a member, then there will be a stress induced. So here also the expansion due to the temperature change is constrained because of the supports. So thermal stress will be developed. How to quantify that thermal stress? For that we discussed in this earlier part of the video. Just we will recollect this one. How to denote the thermal expansion of the material due to the temperature change? For that we are using the important property called coefficient of thermal expansion alpha, which has unit as mm per mm degree Celsius. That means expansion of the material for 1 mm length for 1 degree Celsius of temperature rise. That is the definition for the coefficient of thermal expansion. If you know the alpha value for that particular material, then alpha multiply with the length of the bar and the temperature change. This will give you the total expansion of the bar due to this temperature change del T. Once you know this thermal expansion del L, then we can easily find the thermal strain. By definition, thermal strain epsilon T is equal to del L by L, which is equal to alpha into del T. So alpha into del T, this is indication of the thermal strain for any material. You have to remember this expression, product of alpha and del T, that is coefficient of thermal expansion and the temperature rise or temperature change. Once you know the epsilon T, by using the Hooke's law, we can find the thermal stress, which is product of Young's modulus and the thermal strain epsilon T will give you thermal stress. So E alpha del T is the thermal stress. Once you know the thermal stress, then we can calculate the thermal load in terms of stress. Stress multiplied with the cross-sectional area will give you the thermal load for the particular bar or particular member. So sigma T multiplied by A, so it is equal to EA alpha del T. This is called the thermal load. For del T temperature rise, this amount of load is acting on the member, which is called a thermal load. So the direction of the thermal load is depends upon the nature of the temperature rise or temperature fall. If there is a temperature rise, then the nature of this thermal load will be like a tensile load acting away from the member. If there is a temperature drop, then the nature of the thermal load will be like a compressive load. It will act towards the member. All these points are already we discussed in the earlier part of lecture. Now what we are going to take up from this slide means, to calculate the thermal strain epsilon T, we are using this alpha and del T. Alpha coefficient of thermal expansion, material property. Del T is the temperature rise or temperature drop. Now The same concept we are going to extend it for the two dimensional. In case of bar element, expansion is taking place only along the one direction, that is x direction. But in case of 2D CST element, we have to consider both x and y direction. Now we will see how to include the temperature effect in a CST element. We are using the CST element for solving the plane stress problem, plane strain problem and the axisymmetric problem. In all the applications, suppose particular component is subjected to structural load as well as the thermal load, then we have to incorporate the thermal load also in the CST element for the analysis. How to incorporate that thermal load or temperature effect in CST element, that we will see now. Rectangular plate is shown here, which is discretized by number of triangular element. 4 number of triangular elements are used. Suppose if this plate is subjected to a temperature rise, then because of the boundary or supporting condition, if this thermal expansion is constrained, then there will be a thermal stress developed. Because of the thermal stress, we are going to evaluate the thermal load. Because it is a two-dimensional element, we have to evaluate the thermal load along the x direction as well as the y direction. In case of axisymmetric element, in r direction and z direction. That like that you have to evaluate. How to find this thermal load Ft for the CST element, we will see. For that we are going to start from the definition from the strength of material. So here we are going to start from the definition of thermal strain. So epsilon T is the thermal strain for this particular element. Because it is a two-dimensional element, we are considering the two normal strain and one shear strain. For this case, the strain due to the temperature change is considered only along the normal direction x and y direction. Shear strain due to the temperature change is neglected, which is considered as 0. So we will have only normal strain due to the temperature change, epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty, here 0 for the gamma. Then we have three different plane elasticity condition: plane stress, plane strain and axis symmetry. Here we are considering only plane stress and plane strain. For plane stress condition, we know that the thickness of the body is very small. So in that case, we will have the expression for this epsilon T is equal to epsilon Tx, epsilon Ty 0. But in case of plane strain condition, the thickness of the body is very large. Because of the large thickness, we are considering the Poisson effect also in the thermal strain. So for plane strain condition, we have to use this 1 plus nu multiplied by epsilon Tx, epsilon Ty 0. For plane stress, we have only epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty. For plane strain condition, we have 1 plus nu multiplied by this epsilon Tx, epsilon Ty 0 matrix. This is the thermal strain matrix. But most of the engineering application, we have isotropic material. For isotropic material, we can assume that epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty value both are equal to alpha into del T, because thermal expansion along the x and y direction will be same. We know that temperature is a scalar quantity. It will not change with respect to direction. In that way, we are considering the epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty both are equal in magnitude. Direction is different, but magnitude is equal to alpha del T. By this way, we can simplify the problem. So now we know the epsilon T value. In case of axis symmetric problem, instead of xy, we will get r and z direction. That is the only difference. After knowing this epsilon T, how to get this thermal load expression? Because we know that only the thermal load can be included in element characteristic equation. So how to get this thermal load? We will see. So thermal load for the CST element. Now we are going to use this element characteristic equation directly for evaluating the thermal load. We know that product of stiffness matrix K and a displacement matrix U, which is equal to the force matrix. Now let us say this Ut is the thermal expansion or displacement due to the temperature change. So when you multiply K with Ut, which will give you the thermal load actually FT. FT is thermal load. Now substitute the expression for K. K is nothing but product of B transpose D and B AT. Here what is B matrix? It is gradient matrix or strain displacement relationship matrix. Based on the coordinates of the CST element we can get this B matrix. So geometrical matrix. D matrix is constitutive matrix or elasticity matrix or stress strain relationship matrix or material property matrix. So we know how to evaluate this B matrix and D matrix for a CST element. Already we have solved problems. Now B transpose D, B and AT. AT is nothing but volume of the CST element. Now substitute this K expression in this element characteristic equation. Here this is the K expression, then UT which is equal to FT. Since we know that in 2 dimension the epsilon matrix is equal to product of B matrix and U matrix. Here we are taking one B matrix and UT, this product which will give you the epsilon T, the thermal strain. So when you replace this B and UT as epsilon T, then we will get this expression for the thermal load FT. FT is equal to B transpose D and this 2 will give you the epsilon T and the volume of the element. This is the expression for evaluating the thermal load in a CST element due to the temperature change. If you evaluate the B matrix, D matrix and this epsilon T strain matrix, we can easily find the thermal load. In case of one dimensional bar element, we easily evaluated the thermal load. Right? What is the thermal load in case of one dimensional element? E A alpha del T. Right? This is the expression for the thermal load in the one dimensional bar element. Here E is nothing but D matrix. So the material property E replaced by the D matrix. Here alpha into del T is nothing but this epsilon T. Because of these 2 dimensions we are getting the B matrix in the picture. That you have to understand. Now we have evaluated the thermal load expression for the temperature change in a CST element. Next we will see how to get the resultant stress. Resultant stress for a CST element which is subjected to both structural load as well as the thermal load, that is temperature change. So resultant stress expression which already we discussed in the one dimensional problem, the same expression we are using in terms of matrix form. Sigma R resultant stress, sigma minus sigma T, where this sigma is total stress evaluated by using the displacement arrived from the element characteristic equation. So D constitutive matrix, this is gradient matrix, then U is the displacement matrix. This displacement is evaluated by considering both the structural load and the thermal load. That is why it is called a total stress. From the total stress we are subtracting the thermal stress which is called a initial stress. How to evaluate the thermal stress sigma T? It is just the product of D matrix and the epsilon T, because epsilon T we know depends upon the plane stress, plane strain condition and axisymmetry condition. We will have different epsilon T value and the D matrix. So based on that we can evaluate sigma T value. Once you know the total stress and the thermal stress, we can find this resultant stress. Substituting the expression for this is dBu for sigma and this is d epsilon T. We are taking the D matrix commonly outside this bracket to simplify our task. So D multiplied with Bu, this is nothing but strain due to the total displacement. This is strain due to the temperature change, thermal strain. This is the net strain multiplied with D matrix will give you the net stress or resultant stress. When you calculate resultant stress for the 2-dimensional CST element problem which is subjected to both the structural and the thermal load, we have to remember this expression. We derived the expressions for a CST element, how to calculate the thermal load for a temperature change of del T, And also because of the temperature change, how to find the resultant stress sigma r. Now through one simple example, I'll try to explain how to use these two expressions for solving a CST element problem. So this is the example problem we are considering. Calculate the thermal force vector for the CST element shown in figure. This is the CST element, XY axis. One side of the element is lying on the X axis. So one node is on the origin 0, 0. Then node 2 is 2, 0. Node 3 is 1, 3. All dimensions are in centimeter. You have to note it down, centimeter. For this type of element, it is most preferable one because one side is horizontal, one node is lying on the origin. So we will get many zeros in the B matrix, which is easy to operate. So this type of element should be preferable during examination. The element experiences 10 degrees Celsius increase in temperature. So del T value is 10 degrees Celsius. Assume Young's modulus is 15 into 10 power 6 Newton per centimeter square. Poisson's ratio nu is 0.25. Thickness of the element is 0.5 centimeter. And coefficient of thermal expansion alpha is equal to 6 into 10 power minus 6 centimeter per centimeter degree Celsius. All the values are in terms of centimeters. Here coordinates also in centimeter. We can directly use these variables. We need not to change the units. Second part of the problem, also find the stress components for the element if the nodal displacements are given 0, 0, 0 0.001, 0 0.0006, 0 0.004, minus 0 0.001 transpose, that is a column matrix in centimeter. So this displacement matrix is for the total displacement, we have to consider like that. So using this displacement matrix, we are going to find the resultant stress. There are two parts in this problem. First part we have to find the thermal load. Second part we have to find the resultant stress. Let us see how to solve this problem. As usual, we have to start with the first step. Given data, that is nodal coordinates and nodal displacement. So this is the given element, CST element. So node 1 x1 y1 is 0, 0, and the displacement is u10 v10. Here in the displacement vector, this is u1 v1, this is u2 v2, this is u3 v3. So we have to write like that. So u10 v10, that means this may be a supported end. Node 2 x2 y2 2, 0 centimeter, u2 is 0.001 centimeter, v2 is 0.0006 centimeter. Node 3 x3 y3 1, 3 centimeter, u3 is 0.0004 centimeter, v3 is minus 0.001 centimeter. These are the nodal displacement. Other data, Young's modulus E is 15 into 10 power 6 Newton per centimeter square. Nu, Poisson ratio is 0.25. Coefficient of thermal expansion is 6 into 10 power minus 6 centimeter per centimeter degree Celsius. So if this unit is different, accordingly we have to change all the other variables, that we have to remember. So here also it is in centimeter. So here also all the values are in centimeter. So we can proceed. Thickness of the element is 0.5 centimeter. So it is a finite thickness. We have to consider this thickness for selecting the D matrix. Delta T, temperature rises 10 degrees Celsius. After knowing these nodal coordinates, we have to first find the B matrix. So for that we have to evaluate beta, gamma and 2A values. So what is the expression for beta? Beta I is equal to Yj minus Yk. Now beta 1 is equal to y2 minus y3. Substituting the values, we are getting minus 3 centimeter. Beta 2 is equal to y3 minus y1. Substituting the coordinate values, we are getting 3 centimeter. Beta 3 is equal to y1 minus y2, which is equal to 0. So why we are getting beta 0? Because one side of the element is horizontal. If one side is vertical, we will get gamma 0. Now coming to the gamma values, expression for the gamma I is equal to minus of xj minus xk. So here Gamma 1 is equal to minus of x2 minus x3, which is equal to, substituting the value, we are getting minus 1 centimeter. Gamma 2 is equal to minus of x3 minus x1, substituting the value, we are getting minus 1 centimeter. Gamma 3 is equal to minus of x1 minus x2 minus 0 minus 2, we are getting 2 centimeter as the gamma 3. Next we have to evaluate 2a. So 2a is nothing but determinant of the coordinate matrix. So this is the coordinate matrix 1 x1 y1, 1 x2 y2, 1 x3 y3. Here we are substituting the coordinate value 1 0 0, 1 2 0, 1 1 3. So we can easily evaluate this. 2a is equal to 6 centimeter square. So area centimeter square. Now using this beta, gamma and 2a value, we can establish the B matrix. Evaluation of B matrix, gradient matrix. B matrix, B is equal to 1 by 2a, beta 1 0, beta 2 0, beta 3, and the second row is gamma 0, gamma 1, 0, gamma 2, 0, gamma 3. Third row is for shear strain, gamma 1 beta 1, gamma 2 beta 2, gamma 3 beta 3. Substitute all the evaluated values. 2a is 6 centimeter square, then beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, then gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma 3, then here gamma beta values are written here. So unit for the B matrix is 1 by centimeter. We have found out the B matrix. Next we have to find the D matrix. D matrix is called a material matrix or elasticity matrix or constitutive matrix. For deciding the D matrix, we have to check the thickness. So here in the question, the thickness of the element is given as 0.5 centimeter, which is coming as finite thickness. For finite thickness, we have to select the plane stress condition. If it is T equal to 1 mm, we have to select plane strain condition, that we have to know. For plane stress condition, the constitutive matrix D is equal to E divided by 1 minus nu square, 1 nu 0, nu 1 0, 0 0, 1 minus nu by 2. This is the D matrix. We have to remember. Substituting the values, all are in centimeter, so we can substitute the value, given values directly. 15 into 10 power 6 Newton per centimeter square. Here 1, 0.25 nu value. So here we are substituting the nu value like this. Now we have to simplify these terms. This constant to be simplified first. Then we have to make these elements of the matrix as whole number. You will see this is equal to 1 minus nu square, and this constant will become 16 into 10 power 6. Then if you take this 0.25 as a common term outside this matrix, we will get 0.25 multiplied with 16 will become 4. 4 into 10 power 6. Here 1 will become 4. Here 1 0 1 4 0 0 0 1.5. So this is the required D matrix. Unit for the D matrix is Newton per centimeter square here, because we are using all the variables in centimeters. Now we know the B matrix and D matrix. Next we have to find the epsilon T thermal strain. Evaluation of the thermal strain. Epsilon T is equal to, for plane stress condition, we need not to consider the Poisson's effect. So we will get only epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty. For isotropic material, we know that both epsilon Tx and epsilon Ty is equal to alpha into del T. So we are taking alpha into del T commonly outside the matrix. So you will get 1 1 0. Now alpha value is given as 6 into 10 power minus 6 centimeter per centimeter degree Celsius, and del T is 10 degree Celsius. Now multiplying these two, we are getting 6 into 10 power minus 5 110. This is the thermal strain. Strain has no unit. Now we know the B matrix, D matrix and the epsilon T matrix. We can calculate the load, thermal load. Let us see. The thermal load Ft is equal to components of Ft, because it is a CST element, triangular element. For each node we will have two components of forces. So at node 1 we will have Ft1x, Ft1y for node 1, and for node 2 we will have Ft2x, Ft2y, two components. For node 3, we'll have Ft3x, Ft3y. So the components along the x and y direction due to the temperature change we are evaluating. The expression for Ft already we derived. It is product of B transpose D multiplied by epsilon T into volume of the element At. So now we evaluated B matrix, D matrix and epsilon T. Substituting all the values, we will get the required thermal load. But when you do this matrix multiplication, we can do it in the reverse order. We can easily get these values of Ft. Without using calculator, we can do it manually. Because we know the size of the epsilon T is 3 by 1. Like a type 1 problem we are doing here. Size of the D matrix is 3 by 3. So we can multiply these two. So we will get a 3 by 1 matrix as a resultant. This 3 by 1 matrix could be multiplied with this one. So B transpose. So which is a 6 by 3 matrix. So we will get a 6 by 1 matrix easily, which is equal to this force matrix, 6 by 1 matrix. So we are doing in the reverse order as a type 1 problem we did in the earlier videos for evaluating the element stresses for plane stress, plane strain condition. I think you will remember it. The same way we are doing here also. So first we are getting this product of D and epsilon T. So this is our D matrix and this is the epsilon T, 6 into 10 power 5, and this 4 into 10 power 6 should be multiplied. First we are getting it as 240. Then this 3 by 3 should be multiplied with this 3 by 1. So we are getting finally 550 like this. So this 240. Now this matrix should be multiplied with B transpose and AT. Let us see. First we are multiplying the volume of the element. So 240 constant multiplied with the area 3 centimeter square, thickness 0.5, then 550. We are getting this value as 360, 550. You can take this 5 also outside this matrix. Now this matrix should be multiplied with the B transpose, right? So this is the B transpose 1 by 6 2A. This is the 6 by 3 matrix, and this is the matrix obtained here. This is the product of D into epsilon T into AT. Now we can easily multiply this matrix manually. The 360 by 6 we are getting 60. Then multiply this row and this column, will get first element minus 15. 5. Second row, this one will get easily all these values, and multiply the 60 within the matrix. We are getting the load, thermal load values like this: minus 900, minus 300, 900, minus 300, 0, 600 Newton. So thermal load is in terms of Newton we evaluated. So this is the 6 by 1 matrix we evaluated for the temperature change of 10 degrees, right? So 10 degree temperature change will give you load at each node, right? This is for node 1, this is for node 2, this is for node 3. So 10 degree of temperature change causes this much amount of force at each node. This is the first part of the problem. Then next it is asked to find the element stresses also, right? So we have to find the resultant stress by using the nodal displacement given in the question. Let us see that also. Evaluation for the resultant stress sigma r. We already derived the expression for the sigma r. Sigma r is equal to D, which is multiplied by B into U minus epsilon T. So the B into U is nothing but the strain due to the total displacement. This U matrix is given in the question. Then epsilon T now we evaluated. B matrix and D matrix also we evaluated for this particular problem. First we will find this product of this B and U. B matrix size is 3 by 6. U matrix is 6 by 1. When we multiply these two, we will get the 3 by 1 matrix. This is also a 3 by 1 matrix epsilon T. We can easily find the difference in the strain, total strain and the thermal strain. Here we are finding the product of the two matrix B and U. So this is the B matrix 1 by 6 minus 3 0 3 0 0. So this is the B matrix we evaluated for this particular element, and this is the U matrix displacement vector or displacement matrix given in the question. U10 V10, U2 is 0.001, V2 is 0.0006, U3 0.0004, V3 is minus 0.001, all are in centimeter. So B matrix also in 1 by centimeter. So we are getting total strain epsilon. So now we can easily do the multiplication. First row, then multiply this column, we will get a 3 by 1 matrix. Let us see. So this is the 3 by 1 matrix we are calculating. This is the final matrix, 3 into 10 power minus 4 minus 2.6 into 10 power minus 3, 2.5 into 10 power minus 3. We have 1 by 6 constant. Multiply the constant inside the matrix. Finally, we are getting this product of B and U matrix is equal to this one, 5 into 10 to the power minus 5 minus 4.334 into 10 power minus 4, 4.1667 10 power minus 4. We have to subtract the thermal strain from this total strain matrix. Let us see. Bu minus epsilon T. Epsilon T already we evaluated. This is the epsilon T value, 6 into 10 to the power minus 5, 110. So when you subtract this one, finally we are getting the net strain or resultant strain like this, minus 1 into 10 to the power minus 5 minus 4.934 into 10 to the power minus 4, then 4.1667 into 10 to the power minus 4. So this strain should be multiplied with the D matrix. Let us see. The D multiplied by this net strain. This is the D matrix, 3 by 3 matrix. This is 3 by 1 matrix. Now we can take first row, this column matrix, we will get this one. Then second row, this column matrix, this second row. Then this is the third one. Then after simplifying this, we are getting this much value as the stress, net or resultant stress. Sigma R matrix, this is sigma R is equal to minus 2133.6. This is the along the x direction, sigma x, minus 7934.4. This is along the y direction, 2500.02. This is for the shear. Unit for this is Newton per centimeter square, because we are using the centimeter from the starting of this problem. So the unit will be Newton per centimeter square. So in this example, we have seen that how to evaluate the thermal load in a CST element due to the temperature change, and also we have seen that how to evaluate the resultant stress for the CST element which is subjected to a temperature change. So similarly, this concept may be extended for plane strain problem and the axisymmetric problem. The only difference is the evaluation of the B matrix and D matrix will be different, but same steps we can follow for other two conditions also. Thank you for your passion listening.